sobre el modelo italiano. Lo va a hacer de nuevo Eugenia de la Torriente, que va a hablar con Carlo Capasa. Quizás somos casi los mismos, pero aún así quiero presentar a Eugenia en el caso de que alguno no haya estado en la primera. Eugenia es directora adjunta del diario El País. Ejerce como periodista desde el año 98, inició su carrera como editora de moda en la revista de tendencias AB y en 2001 se incorporó a la redacción del País, donde trabajó hasta noviembre de 2014 y fue redactora jefe del País semanal y crítica de moda, entre otros cargos. Ha dirigido la revista Harper's Bazaar España entre el 14 y el 17 y Vogue España entre el 17 y el 20. Es autora de los libros La elegancia masculina y Puig, 100 años de una empresa familiar. Eugenia, como os decía, va a hablar con Carlo Capasa, que es presidente de la Cámara Nacional de la Moda Italiana y ha ocupado diferentes posiciones clave dentro de empresas del mundo de la moda. En el 2015 fue elegido presidente de la Cámara Nacional de la Moda Italiana, siendo responsable de orquestar el relanzamiento de la asociación gracias a su visión estratégica sustentada en 4 pilares: sostenibilidad, digitalización, nuevas marcas y storytelling. Muchas gracias por estar aquí. Por favor.
Hola de nuevo. Thank you very much, Mr. Capasa, for joining us in Madrid today. It's a real pleasure to have the opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you very much, and thank you everybody to be here. It's my pleasure to be in such a beautiful city as Madrid and a beautiful country as Spain, and so very happy to be here. I heard this morning Pascal that made a very beautiful explanation about the French model, and here we are, the Italian model.
Exactly. As I did before, I'm going to give a little bit of a landscape of the Italian fashion industry, so everyone in the audience can understand the size and the characteristics of this sector. So, according to the figures of Camera della Moda, the revenue for the Italian sector, that includes textile, apparel, accessories, and beauty products, has reached in 2021 almost 90,000 million euros and is expected to go over this number for 2022, which will mean that we'll go over the previous record, which was 2019. It's the second largest manufacturing sector in Italy, and it employs directly around 600,000 workers and as much in indirect retail and other activities. And, well, the organization that you preside since 2015 is a non-profit that is devoted to promote Italian fashion both in the national and international market, and also organizes a Milan Fashion Week. I think that one of the very interesting aspects of Camera is that it has a board of directors that includes some of the most important names of Italian fashion, the names of Patrizio Bertelli from Prada, Marco Bizzarri from Gucci, Angela Missoni, Carla Saggiani, among many others. And I'm sure that the audience that we have today is eager to learn about the Italian model and also to try to understand which lessons we can take from it in order to improve our own Spanish model. So, first question. A little bit as we said with the French. I think that it's safe to say that Italy has been a champion in creating industries that profit from this unique combination between creativity and global impact. I think we could define a common thread that would go from Brunelleschi to Palladio to, I don't know, Ferrari or Armani. Do you think that this is relevant for the importance that Italian fashion has in the worldwide sphere?
Yeah, I think that, does it work?
Yes.
Okay. I think that, you know, the roots, fashion is a cultural industry, and the roots of the fashion in Italy, they are for sure related to the art attitude of the country. We have an incredible art in Italy, you know, is counted in the world as probably the most contents of art that are located in Italy.
Yeah, you have quite a good museum there.
Yeah, museum, churches, and you know, all incredible.
Oh.
This, shall I use this? This works? Okay. When we talk about fashion, we have to go back to Renaissance, I think, with this idea of artisans that started at that time. So are those small artisans that start to work now it works. It's the small artisan that they start to work on particular way to create unique pieces. Jewelry, dresses, embroideries, and in general, all related to fashion. So for sure, from there start the idea that fashion was related to creativity and artisan. And still today, what we see in Italy is very much related to this way of working. In fashion, but even in the Ferrari that you mentioned. So the idea is this incredible field made by small artisan and industry that they work beside. And this works by an organization by district. What does it mean? We go, for example, to the district of Como. In Como, they make silk. And you go there and you find this very small company that probably is only making the yarn, and another small company only printing, and another small company only finishing. And all those companies, sometimes they are a family company made from 10 people, 18 people, very few. But they work very close to big companies in the same area because they all work on silk. So if a designer arrives there and say, okay, I want this silk, but I wanted like paper hand, and I wanted this special print and special color, and I want to buy after tomorrow because I need to have a fashion show. A small company would prepare that, probably in the night, overnight, and all handmade. And then if you need 20 meters, they will make the production. But if you need 20,000 meters, the big companies, they will work together with the small company creating that fabric. This is a unique way, and works all around Italy. You have the district where they make women's shoes. One is making the heel, another one is making the shapes, another one is making the tomaia, whatever. So, and all the districts in Italy, there are many, so you go and make a bag in Naples, or a woman or a man's jacket in that area. You go and make the fine wool for men in Biella. So in every area of Italy, they are specialized, and those companies, they work all together in this story of the district. Few people, they know that when Silicon Valley, they start to elaborate the system of the high tech, they got inspiration from this idea of district, putting together small operators, small creative, in a kind of chain that works together to create some unique product. And this, I think, is the secret, is the strong point of Italy, because it makes very, very fast, very effective, very creative. And also, they work very well because they can do small quantities, big quantities. But it's also the weak point of Italy because some of those companies, they are very small, and sometimes, especially after this pandemic, they have difficulties to sustain themselves.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's, again, as we were talking before about joining forces and collaborating and putting strengths together, the small and the big, the powerful and the upcoming, no?
Yeah, this is the concept of the system. But as I said, there is 67,000 between industry and an artisan working in fashion, and with the 600,000 employees, this means that the medium is less than 10 people for each, you know. So some they are very small. Then, as you said, we have another 1,600,000 working in the tertiary. So altogether for fashion in they work 1.2 million people. But what is very, very interesting is that after the pandemic, the big brands sometimes, or the big group, they start to help some of those small companies, because some of small companies, they were undercapitalized and they couldn't afford the crisis. And so it's happening that we are today assisting to many brands that are entering, even with minority stake in some of those small production companies, with the aim to help them to be alive, to develop, and to continue to make that incredible service. But there we go to another point that is still a crucial point, and this is about transmission of this incredible ability.
Yeah.
Because you touched this also before with Pascal, because we have the problem that many of the young generation, they don't want to work, they are not attracted on working on this artisan level of the industry. And some of those artisans, they are incredible, they are artists, we call them artisans, but they are real artists. They are incredibly creative. They invent new process, new project, new finishing, new ideas. All the designers of the world of the high quality, they work with the Italian industry because those people, they give back so much in creativity that is the base of fashion. And what's happened today is that it's difficult, this transmission of knowledge. And this is also our fault, because sometimes we cannot communicate well to the new generation how beautiful is that job. And also sometimes it's very, very, I mean, you can also make a good amount of money, but we don't communicate well. And I always say, as a sample, look to the chef. In Italy, 15 years ago, nobody wanted to be a chef. And a guy who was probably studying in a good university could go to the father and say, I want to be a chef. The father would say, you, never. Now, after so much communication about the chefs, master chefs and all this, a lot of young guys, new generation, they want to be a chef. They go to the father after university, after studying a huge economic study, and they say, I would like to be a chef. And the father say, wow, great. It's beautiful. And what did it change? They work the same in the kitchen at night. It's a very heavy work sometimes. It changed the perception. So we have to work more on communication of what it is, this artisan work behind fashion that is so important and is a key of success of our model of fashion.
Something that was very stressed before, there was even a question about that, it's about the exports. And in the Italian case, the exports have been crucial for the development. According to your own reports, again, the amount of that the exports made in 2021 was around 70,000 million, which is quite of a piece of the 90 that was in total making the fashion industry. So it really means that a very, very substantial part of the business is about exports. And I would like to know what kind of help, of support from the Italian government, from the authorities, do you have in order to achieve these numbers? It's purely how the system has been developed?
Well, very big part is how the system has been developed, because you have to think that in Italy, when you look at European production, Italy makes 41% of fashion. And the second country after Italy is
Germany with 11%, 30 points of difference. There is any other industry where a country in Europe has 30 points more than the second. And then there is Spain with 10 and France with 9%. Because Italy is the hub of production. But this number, if you only think to high quality fashion, because there is all kind of fashion. If you just put on high quality fashion, Italy represents more than 80% of the production in Europe and 70% of the production worldwide. This means that mostly of the brands that they want to produce at high quality level, they have an Italian hub, Italian production or something like that. And this explains also why those numbers, when we talk about those more or less 100 billions of turnover, we are talking about production costs. Those 100 billions on the market, they become 5 times on the retail or 7 times. So this means how big is the production in Italy. And for sure, this is the reason why we export so much. Because we create this model, the model I explained you before, unique of keeping high quality, high creation, and high efficiency all together. This is the secret. Easy to say, difficult to make. And that's why we go back to Renaissance, because it's a process that takes a little bit of time. But, exactly. But of course, the government helps when they can. We have the Institute for Foreign Commerce that helps, especially in helping the small, medium companies more to get contact, organize exhibition or storytelling outside of Italy, in England, in China, in USA, in China more, but even other countries, helping to organize, financing sometimes some activity outside of Italy. For small company, the big company don't get much help, and that is right also, I think. But small company, they get help. Even if you want to open a store for outside of Italy, there is kind of help. It's not a big help, but it's an help for a small company or a medium company. And so there are some kind of activity rules in storytelling, but also in the real business, that they give a little help to those enterprise to develop the foreign distribution and business.
And do you think that there is a lesson to be learned there for Spain? We do have a tradition also of manufacturing, and we have centers of leather production and shoes production and embroidery here in Spain. What do you think that we can learn from the Italian model for us?
Well, Pascal said before very well that in Spain you have that, and you have even more. You have the attitude to creation, the attitude to quality, to creation, and to creative quality, and also innovation. So I think there are some of the elements that are very strong. Of course, at a certain moment of the history, all the countries, they take a direction. And, in my opinion, and probably it's only my opinion, Spain was much influenced by the big success of fast fashion, the big success of Inditex. And this was, as always, was something good, because it was a moment of big development of this kind of business, but was also something bad, because it pushed the idea that was the only way, the best way to develop fashion in Spain. Fortunately, I think that now it's changing, because there are new designers that they want to do fashion in a more creative way, and also it's changing because we learn a lesson. All of us, we were like, wow, it's beautiful, this democratic fashion for everybody. But then we start to talk about sustainability, and we start to talk about durability of the product, and we start to talk about the idea that of social sustainability. So let's see all the process, all the chain. And there we found that probably the fashion of the future must be more based on high quality. I think that Spain has still the good chance to work very much on that side of the production and of the creation, with new designers, with new stories, with new proposals, very much based for sure in creativity, because here you find many people, many guys and girls, very creative, and very much based on this idea that Spain can be also very often disruptive in terms of proposal. So I have a trust in this, and I hope also that this happen. For sure, the roots that you have in leather is very strong, in production, in image, Manolo Blahnik for everyone, but is very strong.
He produces in Italy.
Yeah, he produces in Italy now, exactly. Manolo produces in Italy. But I think there is space for Spain to to take part of that. I think very often people, they talk about Italy and France, because we have many brands of a high level, call luxury. I prefer to call high quality, but whatever that level it is. And this is a strong help for Italy and France, because those brands, they are indirectly supporting the new brands, the new designers, even through our association. In my association, there are all the big brands, as you said, 240 big brands. The association, the brands of the association, so they represent more than 75% of those 100 billions of turnover. Only them. Okay, only 240 brands, they do that much. But because the 67,000 small industry in Italy, they work for them. But in our association, where my vice president is Patrizio Bertelli from Prada, there is Gildo Zegna, Remo Ruffini, Luigi Maramotti, Renzo Rosso, Marco Bizzarri from Gucci, Serge Brunswick from Fendi. I mean, they are all in my board, so incredible board. You know what do we discuss? We discuss about the future, about how to help the new generation, how to work in promoting the fashion, but also in terms of education. And all this is something very good because we have those strengths. And the same it happened in France. Obviously, when you have a lack of this push that comes from private, you need a strong push from public. I'm also not a libertine, as Pascal said. So, and I think this is the case of Spain. There is chances, but you need help on the new idea of fashion. Another thing, Italy and France, very often they think we are competitors. I don't think so. We are actually trying to push the idea of high quality of fashion around the world. And this is a rule that is very important for us as Europeans, because the value behind fashion, their value very important, that they are part of our cultural roots. Italy, France, Spain, we share some cultural roots very important. They are creativity, the sense of beauty, the sense of quality, the respect of the people, the respect of the planet. They are all related and they are all part of our common culture. And this is our rule. And so when we think to our competitors, I don't see them in France. I see them in other countries where they think that marketing is more important than creation, where they think that what is the future is not related to quality and creation, but is related to marketing pushed at the extreme consequence. Unfortunately, now people, they are much more aware of the importance of the European values that we defend strongly.
You have been very vocal in the past about this idea that fashion is not pure marketing, and that's a little quote. So why do you think that it's important to make this point, that fashion is not only marketing or not pure marketing?
Because I think it's the sense of fashion. When we want to describe any time of our humanity, from the caves to the 1700, the first image you have is the people, the way they wear the dress. And that dress is not only a dress, it's a declaration of the value of that age. So the relation between what we wear, what we are, what we represent, our representation, the closer our representation, and the representation is the representation of the culture in which we live, is so important. And we cannot think that to reduce everything to pure marketing without remember that behind that there is a storytelling of humanity, storytelling of what we are in that moment. I think that this idea that fashion is only marketing is not even fruitful, because it doesn't bring us anywhere. Even the marketing starts from the creation of the creators. Sometimes making very banal, copying, taking inspiration, but everything starts from the creative of the creation. And the creative people, the creative in fashion, they do some majestic work, like taking what they feel in the society and condensate in a dress, in a clothes, in a concept, in one idea. This is the good creator. It's the ones who get our dreams and makes our dreams true. So I always said, let's make a difference between somebody that creates a dream, and that dream is somewhere behind us, in our mind, but he just take it out and show to us. And this is an artist, and he's a creative, because fashion is an industry, but it's also art. And let's make a difference between creating a dream or fulfilling needs. It's different. If you need just to fulfill the needs, is one business. If you want to create dreams, is another business. I think the first rule of fashion is creative dreams and not fulfilling needs. I mean, of course, we need pants to go around and a t-shirt. But it's not the first rule of fashion. This is something that comes after. The first rule is the representation, and is creating dreams. So when I see some specific area of the world where they try to tell us that all that is not important, that is just important to create fake stories or news or communication, fashion becomes only communication, I think that is wrong. And I don't think that communication is not important. I think it's very important, but with another spirit. When you do something and you don't communicate, it's like you don't do it. People, they don't know. So when you do something, you need to communicate. But the communication of something that has real roots, a real creative, is authentic. The communication of something that is not authentic, that is only based on the idea that you want to please your customer, is instead something that at the end is running around like that and not evolving. And this doesn't bring anything good in terms of value, in terms of energy to the people. More, doesn't give space to new generation. Because once you go in this loop of marketing, the big company, the big corporation, they take all the market. And there is no space anymore for creative people. There is no space for young people. And this means there is no space for hope. There is no space for vision. And unfortunately, or fortunately, our humanity is moved by hope, by dreams, by imagination. If we want to not have that anymore, I think we're crazy.
That's beautiful. In fact, now you're mentioning about new designers. One of the very first things you did when you were appointed was to develop a 12-month plan to push, promote, support new or emerging talents and designers. Why was that so important then and still now?
Well, it was so important because when I start first this rule, I've always been in fashion. I'm born in fashion. My mother and father, they used to have some boutiques in Lecce. That doesn't mean milk, but it's a town in south of Italy, in Puglia. And they used to have very beautiful shops. My mother was one of the first buying Saint Laurent Rive Gauche, and then Mary Quant in Lecce with this shirt. I was almost no boy. I mean, I was a very little kid at the time, very, very little, probably 1 year old or something. And then they follow all the fashion in the years. So I was happy to grow in that field where I could see all the designers, the 80s of Italian, the French. So I remember all. in my life. And then when I went to Milan, I started to work in fashion. I started to work first in distribution and then art direction with some famous brand at the beginning. I remember Versace before it was Versace, with the Callaghan Complice, and Giorgio Armani before it was Giorgio Armani, with Hitman, and so all the history I saw. I was lucky. And then in '84, I discovered a designer was called Romeo Gigli, and I made the company. I made my first real company. It was very successful. Then my brother, who is a designer, was in Japan working with Yohji Yamamoto, came back from Japan and started his own line together with me, Costume National, and we kept them for 30 years. We were obliged to sell to a Japanese group in 2016. It was not really our choice. And here we can go to the difficulties of independent designer, new designer. I tried, I know what it is. In '92 also, Gucci, there was still Maurizio Gucci, and Domenico De Sole was in USA, and Tom Mello was their director, and Tom Ford was the designer. They called me and they said, what can we do with this Gucci? And then I took the contract for production and distribution and worked very much with Tom and relaunched this Gucci. And with my partner, we established the company, the production company, that is Novara, is all the group carrying company. So I've been working in many different, and lately, last September, with my brother, we launched a new line, Capasa Milano, because we think we are still young enough to go to look to the future.
Of course you are.
And so during all these activities, I saw something. I saw, first of all, how important are new designers for what I said before, for the ideas or dreams of future. Sometimes when you are a big group, you are, in a sense, also a little bit prisoner of your image. And you need the push that comes from new designers, new brands, new stories to go further. And so it's like our system is a strange system. It needs new blood all the time, no? It's like, I saw how important was, but I saw that at that time when I became president of Camera della Moda, there was a moment where in Italy everything was a little bit too stable. The big company was going well, not much space for the new designers in the calendar of Fashion Week, but also in the help to show themselves. And so I thought that was an emergency. I said, this is an emergency. We have to work to push those designers. And so I put all the money, because at the end we go also there, most of the money to promote those new designers, creating the conditions for those new designers. That means, okay, you want to be in the calendar, I give you a place in the calendar. Not only, I help you to pay the expenses for fashion shows. Probably I give you a space for free. And not only from fashion shows, sometimes you are not ready for fashion show, and I help you to tell you, you're not ready for a fashion show. Be in my fashion hub where you start to show your stuff and you grow, and you can do after a presentation. And I start to participate as Camera della Moda to all the kind of promotion for new brand, like Wison Next, like creating ourselves a system to promoting brand. We created a fashion trust that is from Camera della Moda, but in the fashion trust there are many, many people from the city, women from Milan, sometimes rich women that they can give not only a contribution in terms of money, but also a contribution in terms of help to those designers, becoming ambassadors, helping them to establish the company. Some of them, they are lawyers, some they are, I don't know, experts of economic, and then they help those. So creating a field to help the new designers. And all this at the beginning was difficult and not immediately successful. At the same time, working with the school, I created a system where all the schools, they were related with the Camera della Moda, and created, for example, every year we do one day that is graduate, Milano Moda graduate, where we find the best student and we give a prize to the best student of the school. And those that are judged by a jury with all the incredible people from Remo Ruffini, Renzo Rossi, they're part of the jury, journalists, international from everywhere in the world. So those guys and girls, they have the chance to show what they do and to become important and to be under light. And so all this was important to give this new blood. You said something before, very nice. You said, when you make a party, you need to have the right audience. And the right audience, if it's only one audience, the party becomes very boring. You need to have a very various audience. And you said something right, because this is fashion. We need to create this multiple point of view, to create this crowd that is mixed, also in the fashion weeks, to give chance to people that need the chance. We need to help people in a system that is very difficult for new brand. And why it is difficult for new brand? Before, somebody made a question to Pascal, and he answered very well about the necessity of money, of investors. Not easy to find for new designers, by the way. And sometimes even dangerous, because I'm not the designer, the risk to lose the company. It happened to me. So I know what I'm talking about. And so how can we, what is going on? What can we do? The new designer, they have a huge problem today, and this is distribution. When we go, when I started Costume Nacional with my brother, we didn't need the investor because we were selling our collection to many, many wholesale stores. They were paying, we were going to bank, advancing the order, using the orders to pay the production, and with that money we could grow. And this was easy system. But what's happened today? A new designer goes to the market, and it's difficult to find wholesaler that they buy the merchandise. Some good one, they say, oh, you are new. Okay, give us the merchandise, and we pay only what we sell. And this is impossible because a new designer cannot finance himself. I would say that this should be forbidden for new designers. On top, there is very little wholesale good business. Most of the wholesalers, they are suffering. And what's happening, in fact, is all the big brands, they go on direct distribution. They are becoming retailers. This is the big transformation. You know, until the 2000, the big company of fashion was doing 1/10 of today, the same companies. And the big growing was because they became retailers. And becoming retailers changed the geography of the world and killed many department stores, many wholesaler in the world. So today for a young designer is a huge problem. How can I sell my stuff? If the wholesale market is very difficult, and anyway very little, I don't have money to make a retail company, and it's difficult to make a retail company. So the only way it looks like e-commerce. But e-commerce is very expensive. People, they think, oh, okay, I go on e-commerce, I sell. It's very few cases. I mean, you can sometimes be successful, not spend it so much, when you have a huge attitude to communication. But very, very huge attitude to communication. But mostly of the time, you have a normal attitude to communication. And e-commerce is very difficult too. So how can we help those new brands? We have to help putting them, underlighting them, making them important so they can go and sell to the few wholesaler asking to not give to pay the merchandise. They can go on e-commerce being recognized. And so our rule is to give the chance to be recognizable, to be underlighted. And this is what an institution like Camera La Moda or like French Federation is trying to do.
And I understand that education also plays a very important role in this, pushing and nurturing a new generation of designers, because at the end of the day, it's also how you teach them at schools and what kind of tools you give them in order to face this, let's say, challenging reality that it's ahead of them, no?
I think education is everything. When we talk about the country, if it's not only fashion, if is the country is successful or not, how is the economy, how is the social relation in the country, everything starts with education. And sometimes it's a pity that sometimes we don't put enough energy on the education. In Italy, we pay the teacher very badly, and this is very stupid, because the teacher, they are forming the new people, the enterprises, the dreamers, everybody. What we tried to do was, first of all, to create a link between all the Italian schools and to push them to rise the level. Because until a few years ago, the best school for design was not in Italy. Was mostly, I would say, and the most famous probably in England, and then there was this Anverso growth very much, or one in the United States. So Italy was not in the first 10 schools, any Italian school was in the first 10. So I said to them, listen, this is a big problem. We are the country of fashion, and any fashion school in this is a big 10. And so I launched a kind of a challenge to promote better the study, to try to become better in the program, to try to put a lot of industry in the school as teacher. And this was a challenge that was taken by the school and worked very well. So now in Italy we have a system of school that is quite good. We have many schools from Marangoni, IED, Polimoda in Florence, Accademia Costume in Moda in Rome, now also in Milan, where incredible designers like Alessandro Michele, Maria Grazia Chiuri, they came out. And in Venice you have, so we create a system of school on the creative side, like designers, stylists, editors, photographers, all that. And also we try to work on the other side, on the most on the other side of fashion, because fashion is quite complex. If you are a good designer and you don't have a good CEO, you would never be successful. This I can tell if there is new designers here. So this is important. When you look at the Italian history of fashion, contemporary, and you see like Armani, Galeotti, Miuccia Prada, Patrizio Bertelli, Gianni Versace, Santo, his brother. You see an history of designers.
Giametti is not going to be happy that you forgot Valentino.
Valentino Giametti. No, it's not possible to forget, because Giametti was one genius of all. Probably was the first where everybody learned. So the father of everybody in this sense was Giametti. And so all those incredible couples, they work together and establish the success of Italian fashion that is based on families business. So what's happened is then we can talk about the limit of this family business compared to French, for example, groups. And what's happened is that when you need to form those people. And so, beside the fashion school, we work also very much with Bocconi, Politecnico, Cattolica, university, to create also the people that they are the executive. And ourselves, we are partner, we are founder of this Milan Fashion Institute, that is ourselves, Bocconi, Cattolica, and Politecnico, so for the three universities and Camera della Moda, to create some masters for those people who want to be, executive or entrepreneur. And we have an incredible successful master on sustainability. It's a second year now, and the first year we have 25 places every year. The first year, 25 people, 25 were finished the master and they were going to the industry. And this year, it's not finished yet, they are all taken by the industry, except one that I took in Camera della Moda. And so this is all what the needs that we have, but we still miss, and we are working with the government for that, a serious work on ITS, that is this school for technical school. First of all, because in Italy there is the idea that technical school is something bad. Like if you go to technical school, you don't like. You do like Lyceum, like more. It is a school where everybody say, I send my son to a Lyceum, not that is classic or scientific, not to technical school. And this is only communication. In fact, our ETS, not only for fashion, for all the system, they produce every year 18,000 people. They come out from the ETS, that is this high technical school. In France, there are 450,000. In Italy, 18,000. In Germany, 900,000. So this means that we have to work very much on this idea of technical school because we miss the workers in Italy. It's incredible. In Italy, we have a lot of people not employed, but we still miss 50,000 people in the fashion because we don't find the right figures. And we'll become more. We'll become 200,000 in the next 3 years for two reasons. First, because many people, they go to retire. And second, because there is new works. What is related to digital. Today, if you want to be a pattern maker, you have to work in 3D. And most of the old pattern makers, they cannot work in 3D. And we don't find the good pattern maker in 3D in Italy. It's like you get more money than to be a director of a bank if you are a pattern maker in 3D in Italy. And all what is related to digital, from even the customer service, whatever, we don't find. But also, so many new, and what is related to sustainability, we don't find. So we need new work, but we need also the tradition to be, creative tradition to be replaced. What we are trying to do is also to push the internal, in the industry, in this brand, there is those internal academy. And we are trying to push very much those internal academies. That they are shaped in a way that they don't only prepare people for their own company, but you go in an academy of Prada, of Gucci, or Max Mara, and when you finish the academy, you can work there or you can work anywhere else. And this is something very good because it's a way to really work for the future.
Yeah, well, you have touched, I think, most of the 4 pillars that you have been working since you were appointed at Camera, which was digitalization, the emerging talents, sustainability, and the last one, I think it was diversity. So
storytelling.
And storytelling. So why were those pillars important to be established, and what specific things you have done? Some of them you've said in emerging talent and even digitalization, but what other things have you had specific plans to develop those pillars?
Yeah, the digitalization we did more because we were working very much with many working group in Camera Moda involving all the digital expert of each company. Well, first of all, I want to explain how we work in Camera Moda. We create some tables internal. At those tables, they participate the expert of the brands. It's free, huh? Any brands could participate, big or small, to any table. And in those tables, we elaborate the concept, ideas, guidelines, whatever is needed for the specific table. And in the digital, the table they were working for on many aspects. Some aspects that were related to protection of brand in a digital world. And we did something also together with Pascal on the European Commission, saying we were pushing very much for the idea that brand need to be protected on the marketplace in a digital. And so this was we achieved a big success in this with a way of how you say in English, with the distribution, a way of distribution that has some rules, because they want to complete deregulating the marketplace. We say no, we need some rules. And those rules that were established. So if the rules are valid for all the marketplace, you have to follow them, and you protect the brand that way. So we've been working on that way, on that side. So with European government with Italian governments, and we've been working also on all the rules related to digital and digitalization, and also on the other aspect related not also on e-commerce and communication, but also on the aspect related to the internal communication between the supply chain, because we have a problem. Think to all small companies, they have to communicate by each other, and there is not a system, common system. I present to the government, Italian government, a plan to use some of the money from PNRR, the European fund, to digitalize each of those districts, so they share the same language. This would mean to reduce the time of production, to reduce the mistakes, and to talk directly between all those small enterprises and all the brands. So digitalization is a big story. Then in Camera alla Moda, we also work very much on digital. We also have an incredible number. In the last Fashion Week, we had 56 million people registered only on the streaming of the fashion shows. That was an incredible number. I mean, 800 people, 500, 300, they watch a show, and 56 million from somewhere else, they watch the same show. This is a miracle. I think that is something very, very strong. When we go to the other stories, for me was very crucial sustainability. Because by being this huge production, by having this huge production in Italy, by being responsible of the luxury production of the world, we have a huge responsibility. Because if somewhere sustainability has to happen, it's there. And so that's why we are very happy to promote blockchain and all the systems that they help traceability and they help the fashion to become more sustainable. And this responsibility means that we have to do something. And we start with the huge program. At the moment, I have in Camera alla Moda 8 different tables on different matters, from the animal welfare, the defense of the ocean, chemical and product, chemical and process, footprint, impact. So all those groups of work, they are made by CSR manager of the brands, and they create guidelines. And they say, at the end, they share concept ideas and create the guidelines. But the true revolutionary message was that brands, that they were concurrent, that before of this happened, they didn't talk to each other. They did never want to display what they are doing to another. Now they share all those results, they put on the table, and who is more advanced, give a chance to who is less advanced to use this. The same ideas, concept, stories, certificated that they use. This is a true revolution for Italy, because if Italy has a strength, is that they are very individual, and if has a weakness, is that it is very individual. Because always, you all know, our strong point is very often the same of the weak point. And so this is what happened in Italy, and this miracle, also the pandemic was terrible. We lost 24% of our turnover. Many companies, small companies, risk to close. But push people to be more together. And we start to understand more in that moment how important it was to be a system. And learning to be a system and sustainability was another push to be a system, because you cannot be sustainable by yourself. Or the whole chain is sustainable, or no one is sustainable. And this is good. I think it's good. We are pushing that very much. France is pushing that very much. You, in Spain, must push that very much. Because as more we are transparent, as more we adopt sustainable ways, as more we are building the future of fashion. And having those tables all together created a dream, the dream of a better world, a better fashion made all together. And what is fantastic is that Italy and France, me and Pascal, we start to think about that and to cooperate together, to share experience, to share guidelines, to share the concept, ideas, stories, way of working, activities. This is the way of fashion should be. then if you want to be concurrent, you have time to be on the market with ideas. You have better ideas, very good. You will get a prize from the market. But in some way, somewhere, we have to be all together. We started serious work on this, and one day, after a few years, I started in 2015, was my first program was about, actually, we start sustainability in Camera La Moda in 2011, and we made the manifesto in 2012. And this was my idea together with Anna Zegna, because I was in Camera La Moda in the board. And when I became president, I said, okay, this was my idea. I was in the board taking care of digitalization. There was my idea to push that, and the sustainability with Anna Zegna. And when I became president, I said, this is the first thing I should do. And fortunately, it works. But after 1.5 years I did that, I saw that there was, sometimes even from the brand, there was a little bit of resistance. They were like, are we sure it's too dangerous? How can we say we are working on sustainability? Then they say, you are not really sustainable, because it's true, we are not still really sustainable. And probably we will never be really sustainable. Actually, we are not sustainable since we were born, but we can be as more sustainable as possible. And so when I did that, I said, I need a storytelling. I need something to make people, something more pop. And so we started this green carpet challenge. We made this huge event, this incredible party alla Scala of Milan, inviting all those American celebrities, because actor, actress, singers there, that they want to talk about sustainability, all the designers, and giving prize even to designers or brand that they were doing that, very famous, but even to new brand. We found a new story from girls in Sicily making a fabric with the orange left from the industry, or another guy making leather with apple left from the industry, and so on. And we gave a prize to those, together with big brand where they were doing something for sustainability. And this incredible story where we've seen like the Oscar of sustainable fashion, seen everywhere in the world, they push sustainability in an incredible way, in a true, because the day after the first event, many brands, they call me and say, listen, I want to participate to the program of the sustainability. So sometimes you need a moment of communication, strong communication, pop communication, to push something strong, authentic that you have in mind. And this is the root of sustainability. Now we do many things. We do, since 5 years, a roundtable sustainability worldwide, open to all the brands, where we meet each other. We sit there with all the brands of the world and decide the new contents, share the process. We are participating to this beautiful initiative that is Fashion Pact, made by Kering in France, and is a great initiative where so many brands are part, Italian, French, Spanish, all brands. And then we also, many of our brands, they participate to the blockchain made by LVMH, Prada, Richemont, all together, also there, all together to make a blockchain for fashion. So we are creating a system on sustainability, and I think this is what makes me more happy. In 2019, we launched our manifesto for inclusion of diversity, because sustainability is for sure related to the environmental, but it's also related to human being, and the social sustainability is important. And when we talk about social sustainability, we are talking about workers, we are talking about the way they work, the relation between the product and who is making the product, and we are working about also the inclusion of people. And the inclusion is very important. The gender difference, for example. Well, I made the research with the Fair Wage, that is a no-profit agency, a Swiss agency, to check how was the situation of the workers in Italy, in true. Because I said, we don't have to hide behind the finger. Let's go and see what's happened. And we found out something very interesting. We found out that is very good if you compare to the rest of the world. In some area of the world it's terrible, but we found out that there is still point that we have to be better. For example, in the gender difference, women basically at the same work, they get 20% less on salary. Or we found out that in the top level in the board, there is only 30% of women at the moment at the top level of the boards. And in this I have to say that France has a much better number than everybody in Europe, and this is very good for France. But in general, and we have to learn from them. But in general, what we found out was that we have to give also better condition to the women that they work to do a better career. Because sometimes they have to stop the career because of the children, because they don't have the right protection, the right school, the right organization. And we are responsible for that. We have to give the same chances. And this is very important because the brand start to understand the importance of this subject. On the same time, fashion has been always advanced in the inclusion because fashion has never been looking to sex, attitude, religions, attitude, or whatever thought. It's always been made on talent. But this is true in the brand, in the design office and everywhere. But it's not always true in the small companies working in the country. And we have to push that there too. On plus, there are some irregular workers. In Italy, we are lucky because we have this. We don't have a minimum salary, but we have the general contractor is like a salary that is the unions they make a deal, and this is valid for all the industry. And this contract is very good. Normally, is quite. Respecting the workers. But still there are some irregular workers in some small company that they don't follow this contract or they have some strange kind of contracts. And we have to fight against that. It's a minimum part, but still we have to bring that to zero. It was very funny because one time, 2 years ago, the New York Times said, well, we found 2,000 workers in Puglia, in my region, women sewing for very little money at home. It was sub supplier organizing this work, and this is bad. And they said that this is terrible because those women sometimes they work also for big brand. The big brand they don't know that because they pay a lot of money for those items, but at the end there is this chain. And they said that we have to cut this chain. We have to be aware, to go there, to control, to make more tough contract with the suppliers. We have to cut. Even if 2,000 is 2,000 too much. But then I saw from some relation from the United States that there are 12,000 irregular workers in New York only. So this is unfortunately everywhere in the world. And we cannot say, you are doing this. We have to say, all together, we have to go further in respecting people, respecting the social sustainability. And this is one thing that for me, is at the center of my work because I believe human beings are important. So this is about, let's say, inclusion of diversity. Every year in December we have an event also there because we need to tell the story. We have an event very strong where there are many people bringing their own stories to public from fashion, and not only fashion, telling them about the inclusion. And those stories sometimes they are so touching that I think that if all the people who watch one of those events, they will be convinced that inclusion must be at the center of our thought for fashion. Sorry, I'm talking too much. I hope you don't sleep.
No, I think it was very interesting. I'll look at them. They are... There's, of course, this big European conversation about how to use the funds that you were mentioning, the next generation funds that are going to be rebuilding after the pandemic. What do you think that it's the crucial challenge for then on an Italian, but I would say more on an European level, on how to use this money properly for fashion? Yeah,
we present a project if you like, I share my project actually with Pascal when I presented, and if you like, I can share with you, with the organization in Spain. The project is asking investment from the government, not directly. We said, you put the money and we find the project for quite a lot of money, 12 billions in 6 years. But which are the main activities? Digitalization at all levels in the companies, education, because we need to shape the new generation of workers or entrepreneurs and all that. Sustainability, because all the new company must be sustainable. And of course, promoting the new enterprises, the new brands. Because the future, there is no nothing if there is no future. And we have to build the future. We have to keep that word I said at the beginning, it is hope. Dream. And I think that there is very important also for Spain. I think the same rules, the same activities should be done in Spain, because Spain, Italy, France are different, but still, if we want to look at the future, those are the key factor of success for any system. And for Spanish system as much as for Italian system or for French system. So we have to work very much there, and we have to make stronger the activity where we are already strong, where we have potential, let's say. Not that we are strong, but we have potential. There are many activities where France has a lot of potential, Italy has a lot of potential, and Spain has a lot of potential. We have to work on that.
Which would be the activities that Spain has potential, you think?
I think, first of all, promoting new enterprises and new brands. And like a fashion pact, again, a pact between the industry and the new designers. And must be promoted strongly, because they need help. Cannot happen by itself. We cannot think that those people, that they are small like that, they go and fight with big fighters in the market. We have to give them the possibilities. And I think in Spain you have to work very much on giving to the new designers possibility, but the new designer, they have to work with the local industries. There must be a fashion pact between industries, new entrepreneurs, or older entrepreneurs, whatever you have, and those girls and guys and people that they work in the creative side. So you have to create this idea of new fashion pact. You have to give a message to the world that there is a new energy in Spain through fashion, a new vision, sustainable, respectful of people, but that is telling the story of Spain, culture, point of views, new generation around the world. And must be helped. So I think there is the future, and there you should work. Of course, you have a strong leather chain, and that could help a lot, but you have also other possibilities, you know. And sometimes also some of the part of production that they start to work in fast fashion, they could try to work now to push the new designers. Because fast fashion is not coherent with the sustainability, because use and throw is the opposite of being sustainable. Sustainable is something that you keep, and when you finish to use, you reuse, and when you finish to reuse, you convert. So there is a change of fashion, and some of the industry that was working very much on that kind of stories should convert into promoting new ideas, new designers, new way of working. You can be still democratic, but with new rules in terms of probably the price will not be so low, will be a bit higher, because there is a compromise that you cannot go too much under. We have to stop to think that it's better to throw a shirt than to buy a new one, because there is work more to cost more to go to laundry than to buy a new shirt. This is not good for our future, our planet. The shirt must cost more to buy and less to wash. So, but some of this industry must be converted in the helping, almost with a generous gift to the new generation of creative designer in Spain. And I think that when you have these people that have this vision, they are always remembered by the others, by the country, by the new generation. So I think that people that they have a lot, some entrepreneurs that they made a lot of money, they have to dedicate part of that to this new pact to develop new designer, new idea, new concept based on sustainability, environmental, social, and based on creative quality and based on new generation. Is too much?
No, it's very interesting. I'm not even half of my questions, but as we are running a little bit out of time.
My fault.
I want to ask if somebody in the audience has any questions. Otherwise, I will keep on going. Yeah, there.
You know, Italian people, they like to talk very much.
Spanish people
you
like
can see
to talk
that.
too, I can assure you.
Everyone can tell that you have suffered some of the fashion pains yourself, and maybe also the beauties of fashion. I'd like to ask you, at the beginning of your conversation, you stressed the point that the Italian model could join industry and prototyping, whereas a lot of probably European brands diverted the production to Italy because in other countries, like in Spain, they were purely manufacturers. So in this new pact in the Spanish fashion, let's put that it's already on the table. What is your suggestion in terms of value chain in this sense? How essential it is that we keep the development in the industry or in the brands?
Well, the model works anyway. I mean, of course, we have in Italy a strong prototype center where we develop prototype, and even pure producer, they became very much advanced producer, because I think that there is a value in the production of prototypes, in the production of and also there is a way to, in a sense, you save money and you make a process more flexible if in a company you are able to make the prototype and the production. So a brand arrives there with the drawing and you prepare the prototype, then you submit the drawing to the brand and then you make the production. This is a system that works very much in Italy and helps the whole system, because when you are a pure producer, normally you get less, I mean, paid less, and the margins are very small. So to give more services is good, and I think that when you develop a system, you have to think also to the importance of the prototype work of the prototype system. But what is more important is the research. I mean, I think that the company, to evolve, they have to have a lot of part of the company, even a small company, has to be dedicated to new ideas. Even if you only sew, you are sewing a shirt or jeans, the idea of inventing a new way, a new sew, a new element that makes a difference, this is important. So I think that when we talk about a pact, must be complete, like pushing the industry to be creative and pushing the creative people to work with the industry. Must be something very related. The relation between the industry in Italy and creative people from the creative, I mean, in the company, you know, there are many creative people working in a big company, for example, in a design area. So all those people, they have a relation, strong relation with the production company. And this is the key of success, because if you separate completely the two processes, probably you don't get the same values and the same result. So when I think to develop Spain has to do, when I say the fashion pact means a pact is very tight between the creation and the production, because the two sides of the business, they must be together, cannot be separate. If you separate them, you become only a cheap suppliers, so the people they go to China is less costly to produce there. But if you give some added value, then the people they come to you. This is the secret of Italy. They give an added value and the high quality of the content. Of course, we have some facility because together with China we are probably the only country that has the full chain. We start from nothing, and then from this we only buy the wool, but at I don't know how you say stoppino in English. The base of the wool, and then we make from there we start, and that's valid for all the fabrics. We buy sometimes before the raw fabrics, the beginning, and then from there we have all the spinning, all the processes starts there. So we have a full chain from zero, from the animal to the bag, and to have a full chain in all those products, for sure it helps. And this is probably also the reason why many brands they come to Italy, because they find the full chain. So they start to work on the beginning of each fabric, so leather, till the end of the product. But I don't think that you should reply exactly that system, because you have to find your own system. You can take some element from this system that they could work for Spain. And I think that the element of creation, the element of relation between some kind of company, some designer, the idea of working even in a fashion that could be high street related, but with new concept, could be something very interesting for Spain, in my opinion.
Thank you.
I don't know, did I answer to you?
Is there another question? No? Okay, I'm going to ask one. So, do you think, there was one? No. Do you think there is still room for the Italian industry to grow?
Yeah, because luxury is growing. High quality is growing because the consumers, they are growing. Now we are facing a difficult moment because we don't know what will happen in the world. We pushed so much in the globalization, and we thought that we were at the end. This is all global. The world is global, and the market is all the world. And all the study from all those, like Boston, McKinsey, they said, okay, this is the growing of luxury product in the next year, 20%, 20%. In 5 years, 25% more consumers, they are going to be. So everyone was like a dreamer world for luxury, high quality, Italian production, everything. And then something happened. Not only the pandemic, but especially the war. Well, a war is a terrible moment, and we cannot care about the economic effect on a war, because the effect of a war is a human, and is a disaster having a war in Europe. We tried to do a lot for this. We have a special program now to employ Ukrainian people in the Italian industry that we launched as Camera alla Moda everywhere in Italy. Our brand, they gave a disposal of from 1 to 2% of the number of workers that they have dedicated to those Ukrainian refugees, and we are creating all those work for those people. We also, as Camera alla Moda, donated to the United Nations €4.5 million collected with our brands for helping refugees. But besides that, these terrible stories, and what's happening in China, that sometimes we don't see, but what's happening in China? China, at this moment, we have to wait what's happening in October with the new election of the president. At the moment, it's a very close country for the pandemic, but in general, becoming a little bit more concentrate on consuming what is produced in China, even making very difficult the import with the change in the rules and all that. We hear many, I heard yesterday, many American companies want to go away from China, not only from Russia. And somebody said, oh, it's great, we have a good space for European companies. I don't think so. I think this would be terrible, because if we go against to divide the world in opposite areas, the world is not global. It's going to be post-global, and we don't know what the post-global means. It could be very terrible in general. So after destroying the walls, now we are building walls again. And this is very scaring for me. Very scaring because today I'm not so sure when I say we can grow very much. Normally we could grow very much, but what's happening in the world, what's happening in China, what's happening in Russia is going to affect the concept of globalization and the concept of growing on this story. There is another fact that we have to consider it very, very important. What after the pandemic, in Europe, United States, the rich are becoming more rich, and the poor and the medium class, not the poor, because the poor, they are poor already. The medium class is becoming more poor. This is a very bad news for high quality fashion, because the best consumers for high quality fashion is the middle class that evolve, becoming high class, and this in this process of evolution that they're best consumer for fashion. Look what's happening in China. But and China is incredibly the only country where this process is not happening so much. But and actually the president is trying to stop that process of making the middle class more poor. But in Europe, in the United States, the middle class is becoming more poor. If we change this mobility of classes, this is a bad news for high quality fashion. So there are some elements that let me telling, yes, the future will be very bright, but some elements that let me say, let's see what's happened. On the other hand, I think we should do something on this polarization of richness, because when it becomes too much, it's always a start for social problems, social...
well, it creates inequality, which at the end of the day, it's not a fair way to live.
And we start to think that it's not fair that companies they make too much profit, and we start to think that whatever is high quality, we say no, it's not high quality, it's rich, and this is something bad, because high quality must be high quality, it must be something a nice process, not something seen as something negative for the community. So I think we have to work there very much on our society, try to make a little bit stop to this process of few people becoming very rich and many people in the middle class becoming poor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, there is a question.
Does Italy has Italy an image about Spanish fashion? Is someone or something known about Spanish fashion in Italy? What is known about Spanish fashion in Italy?
Sorry, I was saying this analysis that I just made would have done made by Pascal, because he's very very expert on the social issues regarding Spanish fashion. Yes and not, to be true. Of course, everybody. I mean, as you said, Manolo Blahnik, it is half Italian in a sense. For us, is something incredible. No, I love is something incredible. All the Dominguez. I mean, we know about Spanish fashion. The new brand of Spanish fashion that are less known in Italy, to be honest. And I think there should be more pushed, more promoted. And Spain is always, to be honest, is very much seen as Inditex and Mango and this high street concept of fashion. So at the moment is more seen as a country that is going very much in that direction. But this is in general when we talk about the feeling in Italy. And they appreciate that side. You know, so many young generations say, wow, Spain is good, we can find the high street products. But not much about new creators and all that. Of course, the people more experts of the system, they always look everywhere in the world, and they look also in Spain. But in general, the feeling that we have in Italy is about that.
Okay, another question.
Well, thank you very much for everything you've explained. And you mentioned something that it was about communications, okay, and it was about high quality. And then you talked about saying better high quality than luxury. But how much do you think brands are investing on showing what's high quality versus perception of luxury? So don't you think that brands are more investing on the dream than on portraying what's quality and educating people what's quality? Because I have the impression that lately people don't really know what's quality. They see brands more than anything else. So I don't know what you think about that.
I think that you are right. I think that you are right, because mostly of the brands, you know, to in a sense, to show the dream is something that gets more appeal everywhere in the world. To start to talk very much about quality can become very boring. In fact, even myself, when I talk too much about the process, I become boring. So what's happened is that I think that in a sense, there is something that we have considered. When you push people through that message, that is an easy message, let's call it like that, but you push people then to go to the product and they try that product, they buy that product, they don't know. Probably they bought for that message, but once they try the product, they never go back. It's like wine, no? I always say, I'm not a big drinker, but getting older, I start to drink always a little bit better. And once you try a good wine, it's very difficult to drink a bad wine again. And you get used. So in a sense, what you say is true, but it's a process that at the end rise up the culture of people without them even understanding that they are rising up the culture. Is what I said before with our Sustainable Fashion Award. We made something so incredible from communication. People said, I want to be sustainable. They don't know exactly why a brand wants to be sustainable. But then they start to be. And then once they start to be, they don't go back. So I think that the attitude, the engagement starts the way you said. But after that, you start to understand quality. And I think I propose to Italian government to put in the school, you know, you call the school from 10 to 13 years, middle school in Italy. In the middle school, 2 hours a week of Italian style. Not only of clothing, of furniture, of food, to teach people qualities. Because the new generation, they are not raised about quality. When I was a kid, I already knew the difference between silk, cotton, and wool when I was 12. My son doesn't know that. So, what we have to do is, I propose, is to raise up the culture of the young generation, so once they get used to quality, they don't go back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you very much for being with us today and for sharing all this knowledge and experience. It has been really interesting, I'm sure, for everyone here. I hope it has been for you too. And well, now there's a break. Esto lo hago en español. Hay una pausa para el almuerzo y yo creo que volvéis a las 3:30 para hablar sobre el modelo inglés. Y bueno,
thank you very much. It was a pleasure, an honor to be here, and a pleasure to be with you. But you are an incredible journalist.
Thank you very much.
And it's really nice to be interviewed by you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.